Hey yo, what's good though? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So it's absolutely no mystery from the title and thumbnail alone that I have obviously been thinking just a little bit about Pokken Tournament lately. Now of course, if you've been following this channel, you know damn well that that doesn't just stem from nowhere. If you know me at all, you know that I am a massive Smash fan. I've put in a couple thousand hours into Smash Ultimate alone. However, generally speaking, fighting games have always caught my eye one way or another. Even at times where I don't necessarily play a specific fighting game myself, I will easily and gladly watch hours upon hours of somebody grinding out hours in the lab of any random fighting game, whether it be Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, which I actually do have. I just need to put in some hours in the lab, but I have yet to find the motivation. Regardless, a couple of weeks ago, for the first time ever, I've been introduced to Rivals of Aether 2, or I guess technically Rivals 2, which is coming out in a couple of months apparently. I saw gameplay in a trailer and I knew it was a day one cop, so yeah, I will for sure be there because it looks just like Smash. However, it got me thinking about plenty of other fighting games that I would love to see get new characters and new installments and just new features overall. And one of those games, obviously, was Pokken Tournament. Without a doubt, we've talked about Pokken Tournament at least a solid handful of times on this channel. However, I can't really recall if I've ever went in depth about how much I actually played Pokken Tournament, which, for the record, was kind of a lot back on the Wii U days. I finished the story mode in like a day tops. I learned how to play Lucario as deeply as I possibly could, and then I just went online and I played for a solid like couple months straight. It was a great time. One of the only things that really frustrated me about the game was that the story's writing in of itself was kind of bunk, and then there was also the fact that trying to get online with a friend was way more complicated than it ever needed to be. I had one friend that had Pokken Tournament, one, and we tried to play online together and it simply didn't work. That was frustrating. But besides that though, I always loved Pokken Tournament for what it was. The music was fun, the battling was awesome, even though it was like based off of Tekken, but it kind of took its own liberties and did its own thing. It was very standout. The roster was like weirdly balanced, and frankly, you could turn the tide of a battle at any given point in time during a battle. It was truly a spectacle when that kind of thing happened. So naturally, of course, when I saw that they announced that they were porting over Pokken Tournament for the Switch, I was not at all surprised. There was absolutely no way in hell they weren't going to port over a game with that much polish, effort, and love put into it. What I was surprised about though was how much DLC it got. We got a good couple of characters and they seemed to be pretty good. But here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, on release, I didn't get Pokken Tournament Deluxe. Now, I get it, right? That's probably extremely ironic considering the nature of this video, me wanting another Pokken Tournament. And you're kinda right, it's super ironic and I don't really have that much of an excuse. Well, maybe potentially the fact that I was kind of a broke college student, but that's beside the point. Long and short of it is, I was extremely happy and excited that it got ported regardless. I can't tell you exactly what it was that deterred me from buying it day one. Maybe it was the fact that it was a full price $60 title for a game that I had already been playing months on end for until it basically died on the Wii U, but I don't know, there's probably a bunch of other reasons. Anyway, it doesn't really matter now. We're at the point now where I fully believe that we are more than ready for a second Pokken Tournament. Within these last couple of years, we've been introduced to a lot of very unique fighting games, and a style like Pokken's should not be lost to time. And when it comes to this unusually long wait for Pokemon Legends ZA, I can't help but feel like we might potentially, very possibly, be in a potential new era when it comes to the Pokemon franchise. And I'm really hoping that that applies to the spin-off games as well. Y'all gotta remember, we're also coming up on a brand new Nintendo console, something that Pokemon is very much exclusive to. Which is why I really, truly do not believe that it would be all that ridiculous to hope and wish for the potential of another Pokken Tournament. And if there's anything to get your customers interested in a new console, it's a specific exclusive fighting games with unique mechanics, fun characters, and just overall a great time. Now, of course, there is another candidate in that running when it comes to ARMS, but I think I'll save that video for the second channel. Anyway, you get what I'm getting at this point. Pokemon has more money than they will ever know what to do with, and with that little bit of extra money, I would love them to pass a little bit over to Bandai to see what they could do if they were to lock in with a Pokken Tournament 2. Because I obviously have a couple of things that I would like to see. Let's just get this one out of the way because it's the most obvious, but there's more characters that I would like to see. From what I remember, Pokken Tournament has a pretty solid, well-rounded roster. With the addition of the DLC characters, capping it off at 21, that's not a bad amount of characters. However, since Pokken Tournament Deluxe and its DLC characters, not only have we had a lot of new regional variants introduced in mainline Pokemon, we've also had 2 entirely brand new generations of Pokemon. We have an absolutely insane and very valid amount of characters to utilize for this roster now that we've had so many, easily hundreds of Pokemon introduced to us. The most obvious all-rounder pick for 8th gen clearly being Cinderace. Like, come on, I would have figured that Cinderace would have been a shoo-in for a fighting game. Maybe he'd be a little busted, so what? He's fitting as a ranged and close-up fighter with the speed and the kicks, and with the fireballs as soccer balls. He's just perfect. But if we're being completely honest with ourselves, the most valid candidate from 8th gen would absolutely have to be Urshifu. That is a Pokemon bred for combat. That thing will whoop your ass just for looking at it. That thing belongs in something like Pokken Tournament. And I'm just saying, I know how a lot of people feel about Generation 9, however, y'all would cook up, really cook up, if you just went ahead and added Ceruledge. Ceruledge is easily one of the best designed Pokemon I have ever seen in my entire life, and seeing him in Pokemon Unite made me damn near re-download the game, because my goodness, how perfect is he for that game. Now, I did have a bit more of a list here, but I'm thinking that if we're gonna do something like that, we should probably save it for characters that I would want for Pokken Tournament videos. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing, go ahead and leave a like and a comment. Tell me what you're thinking about that. But let's continue. The point is, there's a lot of new representation from either of these generations that would fit super well. And hell, you only picked about 21 Pokemon originally. There's still plenty of other representatives from previous games that would work out beautifully. Amongst like over 1,000 Pokemon, there is so much room for creativity, it's not even funny anymore. I would love to see them cook up with some new characters for this game. There's a lot of Pokemon that I think would work out extremely well for this game. Aside from just characters though, there's a lot of things like modes and things that they could touch up on for Pokken Tournament 2 that would make things a lot more interesting as well. For example, the story mode. Now, don't get me wrong, most fighting game story modes are very whatever. Usually they are not good, and that's precisely because they are focusing more so on the gameplay and playing online than they ever are on the actual story mode. The story mode solely serves as the purpose for you learning the game as much as you possibly can. The plot is usually something very whatever, and in Pokken's case, it is no different. However, I feel like if they were to actually just put the pen to the paper and let these writers cook, I feel like we'd have a really unique story mode that would actually make things a little bit more fun to progress through. The entire point of that island is that trainers are very specifically bonded with one Pokemon, and they use those Pokemon for much more intense and heavy battles. So why not lean into that a little more? Make it so that we have characters that actually have their own unique personalities and stuff like that that are connected to these Pokemon. Now, of course, character stories are not unique to fighting games. Plenty of fighting games have done that time and time and time again. However, in Pokken Tournament 1, it really felt out of place to have character customization for a PNG, you know? We barely ever got to show that character off, and the only time that they were shown off was in online battles for like maybe a split second. We were never really looking at those characters, and they weren't animated or anything, so they weren't doing anything special. So I feel like it would fit a lot more if we had actual characters with actual voices and actual personalities that were connected to these Pokemon that we could go through a story with. And that way, I feel like people would be more intrigued to actually go through a trainer's story if they're interested in a specific Pokemon. Like, oh, Charizard's bonded to this guy or this girl. I wonder what they're like. Their design is really cool. Let's see what their story is. And then you go through their story, and whether it's good or bad, hey, you know how to play Charizard now. awesome. I don't know, maybe I could be insane on that, but it feels a lot more fitting to me. And also, I'm just saying, one of the best ways for you to advertise your games is to have very specific voice actors promoting your game through their own social media because they're voicing a character for Pokemon, something that most people definitely love. I'm just putting it out there. If I randomly heard that like Alex Lee is voicing an edgy character for Pokken Tournament 2, I'm definitely playing his character first. I don't care what Pokemon it is, it's that one first. Just putting it out there. And also that way, you could make it so that these characters have intros with their specific Pokemon, and then that way, I feel like we would be a lot more inclined to use in-game currency that we earn to buy cosmetics for these characters and their Pokemon. That way, we're working with more than just the boy PNG or the girl PNG. You follow? So I'm just putting it out there. It's kind of a win-win-win for everybody if you have actual interesting characters, a unique story, and characters that are connected to specific Pokemon so that when we're going through the story, we're not only treating it like a tutorial, but we're actually learning how to play these Pokemon while getting invested in these characters and their stories. I hope you guys know by now, I like narratives. I like narrative-driven games, just putting that out there. Anyway, I think that the last primary beneficial thing from a Pokken Tournament 2 is to actually give a chance to newer players. We're at the point now where I've seen a couple of responses here and there that people are actually just scared to go online because there's just such a skill gap right now because you have either been playing the game the entire time or you are a brand new player, and there is absolutely no balance to that. Hence why I fully believe that it's more than time to hit the reset button so that new players who are potentially interested in Pokken Tournament can actually have a fresh start with everybody else. The player base can expand with the newer players, and now we have a much better balance between new players and old. Because I can't lie, y'all, one of the few things that's restraining me from picking up Pokken Tournament right now is the fact that none of my friends play, and going online scares the hell out of me because I have not played since the Wii U, man. I'm not finna spend $60 to get cooked up every single match to never pick the game up again. That's not happening. Now, of course, take that little comment with a grain of salt because, again, I obviously don't really know what the actual state of Pokken Tournament Online is right now. I have not played in forever. I'm just going based off of what I've seen from active players. If you're actually interested in Pokken Tournament, then by all means, go ahead and pick it up. I think I'm gonna hold off a little bit longer. Either way though, long and short of it is, I really want to see more Pokken Tournament because this is a game that had a lot of love and a lot of polish, and it had a lot of potential too. Of course, not that Pokemon really needs much more when it comes to the competitive scene in any way, shape, or form. They already have the TCG as well as the VCG going on constantly, so honestly, I'm sure that they're not too worried about money coming in that way. But the fighting scene is always just so much fun, man. It's always so awesome to see what people are able to cook up that you weren't able to in the lab, and to see them pull that off at a tournament of all things is just so absolutely exhilarating. Now, of course, I'm not going to hold my breath on it too long because it's been a long time. I don't think they're thinking about Pokken Tournament anymore, and quite frankly, they don't really need to think about making regular spin-off games anymore when stuff like Pokemon Unite and Pokemon Go are still making bank to this day. So, if you're asking me honestly if I do actually see a potential future for a Pokken Tournament sequel, I'm going to tell you not to hold your breath on it, Chief. Even the potential of that game earning like 1 to 2 solid million is chump change to a massive multi-million-dollar company like Pokemon. So unfortunately, something like that could possibly just be a risky investment. However, like I said earlier, we might be looking at a very different Pokemon in a year from now. We might just be getting more Pokemon games with a lot more love and care, and if Pokemon Legends ZA can prove that to us next year around this time, then maybe we'll see the same thing with Pokken Tournament, or maybe some other spin-off game. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about wraps it up for this one. Didn't really have this one planned out too heavily or anything like that. I saw that I started to type this out a while back and never really did it for some reason, so I decided, you know what, I need a video for this week, so why don't we go ahead and do that? So hopefully it comes out at the proper time and things like that, but we'll play it by ear. I would really like to see more Pokemon spin-offs, and if I had to choose one, it would definitely be maybe Pokken Tournament, maybe another mystery dungeon. I feel like we're more likely to see a mystery dungeon though, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll play it by ear. But with that, I think that generally just about wraps it up for this one here. However, I'm passing the mic in your direction, and I'd like for you to tell me what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Do you think that I'm absolutely insane and that I should be punted to the moon for even considering the possibility of a sequel for Pokken Tournament? Or do you think that I'm onto something? Could you see potential in it? Would that be something you're excited for and you would love to see an actualized Pokken Tournament 2? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.